So I'm still wondering whether I'm asleep or awake. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. So, but to see all these people so happy, I can no other choice. Yeah, I'm really glad to be. Really, I was surprised to see so people still holding on to this group. I'm very happy to be here, and I think I requested Eva to change the question and answers into sharing and exploring. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have one rule. You are welcome to ask your question, or we can wait until Father Chris has the urge to say something without being asked, just to enjoy the present moment. So otherwise, you either ask question or we enjoy the present moment silently.
Hey, I have a dilemma that comes up from time to time with so with my husband we are raising 2 children. Rebecca is 10, Mate is 5 years old, and in many cases when they are struggling with something, first thing that I learned is just to be present with them. And there are cases when I have the impression or the thought that it's not necessarily my presence that supports them the best, but maybe something else, like for example, when my daughter is really stuck into her depressive thoughts, and my impression is that if I am just with her, she's getting deeper into her pain. And I'm really interested how you see this. When is it, are there times when it's not the presence that supports the other person, or not empathy but something else?
So the children, I think they're mostly or most of the time and more present. So what they see is your absence of your presence. That is what bothers them. And if they have problems and they see that you are there, but then if you are not present, that becomes an absence for them. So they are still looking for you to solve the problem, help the problem. So presence is given. I think it's all the time. It is the first thing to look into, whether I am here. Any other thoughts?
So you're saying that if I'm fully present, then they will sense that and it will be enough for them to find their ways?
Yes, not only just your presence for them means that you're also involvement in their own pain and suffering. Then there is no full presence unless you are really. So if they see that you're fully present, then there is no problem, because that means that you are there, and they see that, and that they are also concerned and involved with helping them.
So if instead of being present, I'm trying to help, that tells them that I am.
Yeah.
That doesn't help, because it tells them that I'm not present for their pain or whatever.
Yeah.
And in your belief and experience, is there a point where being present involves showing some different perspective, or that's not part of being present?
Presence is not fixing, you see. You're not trying to fix them, trying to solve their problem. Presence is that you are with them. You understand what's going on, and you can understand what the struggle that they're having. So it's not necessarily that they want you to fix their problem, though they may appear to be asking for that, but then actually that they want you really understand them, where they're at.
Do you believe that there are times when what they need is that I maybe fix it, or not necessarily specifically fix it, but bring up some questions that might open up some new perspectives? Or is, yeah.
Yeah, when your connection or your presence become connection and alive, then of course they're okay.
Mm. Okay.
But anyway, this is every one of us have different ways of approaching, and but the presence is something that's given every moment. It's the basis on which you build anything else.
Thank you. It's a confirmation and also a reminder for me that whatever it is, I'm present with it. Then even if I act, I will act from a different energy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else has such dilemma from time to time, or?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I have as well.
My question, Chris, sometimes I don't want other people's presence. I want their ideas because my imagination is narrow, or I used it and I couldn't find anything. So in your system, there is no time for brainstorming. Is there time for brainstorming?
Sure, sure. I mean, the presence is no obstacle for anything that you want to do. You know, but if you're doing brainstorming, it becomes much more alive when you are present. So not go into your own thinking too much. I mean, not to be lost.
So it's
in your
more
thinking.
like the problem is not if I give a different perspective. The question is where my words come from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Because even if you're sharing your thoughts, if they're connecting thoughts, they're helpful than disconnecting, you see.
I also rolling on with this topic. So my daughter, she's 10, and for her, she has strong difficulties connecting with her classmates. And it's related to this previous question, how long so if I want to support her, how long is it support that I'm staying with her pain, or when is the point when I initiate to put her in a different school, for example? These are the I am struggling with this question. What is support? And how do I know?
There is also question of our judgments, no? Whether we are how anxious we are about judging, and because though this is a very important question for you, because there's certain amount of fear that she might miss out. That, so I suppose you can always have some professional input in that, and I suppose now they have to recognize any problems with children, like if there is any dyslexia or something like that, anything like that. It's good to know them, and I suppose that professionals will have more access to that. So it's good to also have more information and to make our decisions. So, I mean, we can open up to people. I know people who are teaching, who are in this profession, and how do we make these judgments?
Can you please clarify what you mean by judgments in this context?
Because your anxiety about your child, that is also there. Therefore, not to judge them in a hurry, and also judge them without proper information, that, so you'll have to do some little bit of more observation, more better understanding, to come to a better understanding of your child.
Yes, and she's very, very strongly refusing to meet any such professionals who could identify. She's very strongly against it, and so far we were not able to involve a professional in such a way, because she's not cooperating in that.
Actually, it is not. They don't like to be examined and all that, you see. But I think they will be open. I mean, you don't need someone who's a professional can observe what's happening. So they will have ways of doing it,
Maybe I just haven't found it yet.
Yes, but it's good to look and see, and to talk to the teachers who are teaching, and also you don't want to make hasty decisions on these, because
yes,
and if you can observe how they are growing and how they are dealing with their own problems, might give an idea of how to go about.
Thank you. I will look for. I like that, observing how she's dealing with situations and pain, and also look for opportunities to get support in different ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone open to share something that touched you recently?
I can share. It is also a question, but it also observation. So I find in my school have many bullying, repeatedly harsh behavior to one or more students or teachers. I also a subject of be bullied. For example, I make a mistake with my word, and class is laughing in a harsh way, and I am stuck. It was last week, and my question that if somebody be bullied, the fourth step of MVC is working, because my experience that it is not really, but I don't know what is the official answer of MVC for this case.
So that's Kinga, you were saying that something that touched you. What are you talking about?
Yes, it was my case. And it was emotionally very strong. Yeah. Helplessness and yes, and confusion and lack of professional tools.
So bullying is a very common phenomenon, so I'm sure there would be others who might have some experience and understanding.
in my experience, through bullying, many needs can be met of those who bully. Belonging, self-confidence, and I don't know, and the tragic thing is that not everyone's needs is considered in this situation, because the one who is being bullied, that person's needs is not taken into consideration. And it has in my experience and in my thoughts, it has also a systemic, for example, a school level, and also larger system at school level and interpersonal level as well. And if on systemic, for example, organizational level, the framework, the agreements are not made that everyone's needs matters, and it's very hard to handle it on an interpersonal level. And also it's not obvious how it is handled. For example, in my daughter's school, if there is a bullying situation, they sit together, the involved children, but that child who is being bullied, often that child cannot put his or her own boundaries, and it's harder for the child usually to express his or her needs, and then the dynamics become stronger. So the intention and the reality do not meet. And I'm curious how any one of you sees this.
I'm thinking of two of my clients. They are schoolgirls, one in Australia, one in China. And they got the experience of being bullied. And what I feel is, it's like a different story, but one story is kind of there's among the students, the classmates, the students, there's one student with high power, or everybody following that person, and they are grouping together against one of the girl. And another case is like the teacher is the authority, and all the kids the students are trying to pleasing the teacher. And my client is kind of in the vulnerable position. It's very hard for them as just one student in the big group. It's very hard for them to honestly or authentically share their needs or feeling. I'm trying to support them to, I can support them to connect to themselves, but it seems very hard or challenging for them to do the same thing with their environment. The big group in the class. And that's my question as well. What else I can do to support them, for them to be in such a vulnerable position in school with teacher or others in one group. And I sensing the other students pleasing the teacher or other people, other students in one group. It seems like people are trying to surviving or looking for safety or security when there's a authority figure in the environment. That's what I want to share. I'm done.
I have only pain. How many teachers I've heard to try to solve the problem of bullying by saying, just don't escalate the problem. Probably everything will end up under the carpet for a while and then there will be an explosion. Or people are leaving the school with a lot of pain. Thank you. Anna, is there anything else you would like? Do you have a specific question?
Do I have a specific question? I'm interested in how anyone, including Chris, you would approach bullying situations.
I had a situation. My daughter is 10 years old and she attends gymnastics in the school. And once after there was on the session, in the evening, late evening, I got an email from the teacher that my daughter was taunting. I think this is the right expression in English, kigúnyolni. Taunting other kid or another girl.
She was made
with her.
fun of.
Made fun of, yeah. So, but I think it was a stronger meaning. And I I was shocked because I was not aware of that. I was not informed by the parents or whatever. And when I was asking my daughter, she didn't know what they mean, and we started to discuss it. So I said, of course, it's not acceptable and so on. However, let's see what happened. And then it turned out that they were playing a game, that they were hiding the socks or bags of others, and all of the kids were playing this game. But then one wanted to stop, and my daughter didn't stop this game. And of course, it was discussed that it's not acceptable, or needs to agree in the game, and so on and so on. But what was a lesson for me, that sometimes we are using strong words and we don't know what is the behavior behind that. And sometimes it's very hard to get what's happened, because the kids cannot solve it, or cannot share it. And I fully agree, the best is to talk about it and somehow get that what behavior was, so not what we are thinking about, or especially what the parents are thinking about what happened, but what was in the reality. So I had a similar story with my friend, that there was that, okay, a kid was attacked and her trousers was pulled down, and then it turned out that they were playing catch and hide, and meanwhile the trousers got lost or whatever, but it was not due to the kids, it was just by accident. But how it was interpreted, it turned out to be a totally different story.
So you're saying that what we call bullying is not necessarily bullying, but something else might be.
No, what I'm saying, but because maybe it can be bullying, but I think we should have observation what we mean under bullying. Like really what was said, what was heard, and then how it was the impact on the others, that it was painful, what needs were not met, and so on, but just not to label something bullying by default, but go through the 4 steps, I think, like in NVC.
Was any occasion when the same things happened with your daughter, or it was a separate case?
It happened only once, and I talked to the class teacher, and she said that actually it is a game that they play in other classes as well. So, yeah,
for me, bullying have 3 aspects: that repeatedly. Secondly, the power is not equal, so not one time have a problem with one kid and other time other kids, but always the same. And thirdly, they don't want to they don't want to connect in an equal way. But in that case, I think it was really a kind of normal conflict, as I understand.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your the definition for bullying.
Yeah. So when my problem when I observe, I don't. It's an imagination that the other is not one to solve the connection. Don't want equal connection, or to have the need meets both sides. and of course I can understand their trauma and so on, but then it's not help for those who are weakened. And yeah.
Okay, I assume in those cases there is the possibility of protected use of force, like setting boundaries and not against the others, but to meet my own needs.
And
and I know it can be very challenging to decide when you have this point when you give up solving the problem with the other and go in a conflict resolution, or switch to this setting boundaries.
And for me, it's a big question. What does it mean setting boundaries if for that person it's very hard to set boundaries?
Sure.
If they don't have access to those tools, then, for example, in my daughter's case, there were some boys older than her who, I don't know what exactly happened, but the classmates of my daughter told the teachers that those boys are bullying my daughter, and then the teachers called together those boys who were, I don't know, 2-3 years older than my daughter, called my daughter. They sat opposite to each other, and then everyone had a chance to talk, but my daughter said this was the most horrible experience she ever had in the school, because then the boys said, yeah, we did nothing, and then they asked my daughter in front of all those boys what did they do, and she was like shocked, and she didn't dare to say anything, and she was even more afraid after that than before. So I think the intention from the teachers was to talk together, but the result was really, really sad from my point of view and from my daughter's point of view. So how to empower someone who don't have access to his or her power? For me, that's a very... And we are back to my first question. Shall I empower someone, or shall I just stay with that person's powerless state? How are you with that, Chris? What do you think? Or how are you with that?
I think that what matters is to have a self-connection is one step. Certainly is important because when self-connection is also is about self-confidence. It's a self-confidence building step is self-connection. And the stronger your self-connection, then of course, then, but you said it's also true, trying to solve problems with others is not always the best, because there is no balance of power there. So, but if you can build self-connection, boundaries would be to not setting my boundaries, but setting, for instance, what kind of things can be done in the class, or what kind of games can be played, because they're all very subtle way of doing things, so they don't become also make it easier for bullying. So the first step I would say is to build self-connection, and also to see sometimes the environments may not help. So also if you can change an environment, sometimes you may have to do that.
Thank you.
But you might also, because I really admire the chances that we have of learning NVC here. Because when you have children that you have to deal with, you are constantly in connection, how to hold this conversation, or how to maintain this connection. And that's quite a challenging situation, which of course helps us to grow in really living the process. So, and also to see when you're talking about, even when you're talking about self-connection, you can also see what ways can you make this self-connection stronger, which becomes self-confidence. Yeah, sorry, you were saying something.
I think Andrea was saying something.
Igen, csak hogy kapcsolódom ahhoz is, amit Anna mondott, és amit Krisz is mondott, hogy akár a környezet is bekerüljön a kontextusba, hogy a békés iskolák például azt mondják, hogy a hatalmi dinamikából kifolyólag pontosan az fog történni, hogyha egymással szembeállítjuk őket, amit az Anna elmondtál a lányoddal kapcsolatban, és hogy ennek van egy protokollja, amit most nem tudok elmondani, hogy igen, először a rendszerrel kell dolgozni, amikor már a bullying kialakult, és hogy ennek van egy menete, és hogy nagyon végén van a sornak ehhez képest az, hogy egy térbe legyenek állítva, és egymással kommunikáljanak, vagy hogy valami közös tényfeltárás legyen.
Éva, fordítod?
In my understanding, what I have learned is only the last step to let the bullying parties to meet, if it is part of the process at all. No, only the last step. And before that, you have to deal with the system. Andi, mindent lefordítottam?
Azt hiszem, hogy igen, és talán annyit fűznék hozzá, hogy akár iskolai szinten, vagy akár az osztály szintjén a rendszerrel, tehát hogy ennek megvan tényleg a tudománya és protokollja, hogy
Certain systems, there are some protocol how to deal with this on the level of school system or on the level of the system of the classroom.
Chris, did I understand correctly that you mentioned that you raised the question, what ways can I make self-connection stronger so that it becomes self-confidence?
Yeah.
And if you answered that question, how would you proceed?
So that's what I was just inviting you to explore, that possibilities. I mean, of what you know of NVC, how far can you go with self-connection? What are the practices or what are the things that you will do? Or So the trouble with before the other question about I know things you have to do something systemic. Systemic is always, it's an abstraction, you see. So in abstraction you lose reality in a way, and therefore you have to deal with things individually, and but of course some things can become systemic when they become very common and tolerated or not seen in a in a school that which is already is not individual anymore because there are so many classes and so many children. Then it's normally you go into systemic. So when it is, if the school has policies that really facilitate or encourage bullying or things like that, so those are things what you're talking about, systemic. But but it's always good also to be involved with individual problems and see what we could do. So I'm not just trying to give any answers, but basically I'm inviting us to think in terms of how what we do in NVC could be of any assistance to engage in these problems that that of course concern our children, but then it concerns us also deeply.
So besides thinking on systemic level, we should not lose focus on the actual specific situations, because those are the real ones, and system is an abstract thing.
Yeah. And also when it comes to bullying and things, it's not only in the schools that you do the work, but outside also, because if your child, how will you encourage your child to develop this self-confidence and self-connection?
I'm enjoying very much this time together with you, and at the same time, my daughter, she has a performance at the school, so I'm leaving now, and I'm thanking you so much for this time together, and I will watch the video of the rest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we promised 1 hour, which is over. Anyone has any question or comment before we say goodbye?
我想有个请求，问一下杨，可以帮我翻译一下吗？我有一段打在那个聊天区了，是有一个问题。
Teresa said she has a question and she put that in the chat. But Teresa, I need to go in 5 minutes. 所以德兰，我只能再待5分钟。我刚才已经跟他说了，你放在聊天区。
好，谢谢杨，太感谢了。我不知道神父应该能看得见吧，在聊天区里问题。
So Chris, can you see her question in the chat box?
Yeah. My child
是关于我儿子的问题。
companionship and deliberately acts out to get attention, which makes it hard for me to stay calm and communicate. They're also wondering why we believe in Catholicism. Could you please advise on how to guide them? Yeah. So, yeah, children, of course, need companionship in this, and that is a very common thing. And they are mostly, when there is lacking, of course, they will very much call on your attention, so which is natural. And of course, and about Catholicism, I suppose, I don't know, in China it's not an easy subject. I don't know how they deal with that. So I think it's good to have this, because it's to provide this this companionship. Of course, if they're in a school, they have. If they don't have companionship in school, that means there is something that is preventing them from connecting. So once you have an easy and fluent connection with your child, it helps the child also to make other connections. So
sorry, Chris. Can I check with Teresa if she need my interpretation?
Yeah, Teresa, can you understand? Or
呃
you can ask her, yeah,
德
please.
兰，你需要我帮你翻译吗？你
我现在
德兰，
用的是一
你需要我帮你
个豆包。
翻译吗？还是你自己其实能翻译？
哦，我是有个豆包，它在有个字幕。
所以你可以哈。
可以。
Okay, she can fix it by herself. You can continue. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, she can translate it, is it? Has she? How she can understand English probably, is it?
She has.
Translator.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yes.
fine. Thank you.
我听不懂，我有个 AI 辅助，谢谢。
Yeah, of course. The AI is amazing. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Father.
Eric, you have any question from far away from Indonesia there? Okay, yeah, okay. Thank you. Nice to see you there. We close the session, is it, Eva?
Ladies and gentlemen, anyone has any question or comment? Gina wrote she had to leave. Thank you for everything. She learned a lot about bullying. Eric, I wish you fast recovery with your voice. Agota said thank you as well. So last chance for question, comment. 3, 2, 1.5, 1.
Thank you.
Gina.
No, I just wanted to, I just wanted to say goodbye. So nothing else.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Jenny.
see you, bye.
Thank you for being here.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
bye.
bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you, Eva.
Bye.
See you.
See you for everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you. Bye.